Hello, welcome back. Today's video I feel like is a bit different. I'm going to be doing a sketchbook tour. I've wanted to do one of these for ages, but I have never had a finished sketchbook to actually show because it either takes me forever to finish a sketchbook or I start a sketchbook and then kind of half finish it and then start another one. This is a sketchbook that I made. You might have seen it on my Instagram. It was a scrap sketchbook that I did, and it was basically compiled of lots of different scrap pieces of paper that I didn't want to chuck away, so I kept it and then I bound it all into a sketchbook. We're just going to get started with this sketchbook tour. So this is like Hessian, I don't know how you say it, like kind of fabric, and it's got little flowers printed on it. I thought it was really nice, so I decided to use that to make the sketchbook. And then obviously this is from a cartridge pad that had loads of paper in it, and I cut it up and used it for the end papers. I just thought it gave it quite a nice rustic feel and it looked quite nice. Also, I need to put when I finished this sketchbook, which was today, because some of the last couple of pages I filled up today because I was like, I am filming this sketchbook tour today. So yeah, anyway, moving on. Okay, first page. This is drawn from a book called The Lost Tommies that I got from Amazon. It was for a project I did last year, but the photos in there I felt really inspired by, so I did some sketches from that. That's what this one is from. This one was from a picture that I found on Google, I think, or it could have been Pinterest. It was like an old photograph of a man on a horse, and this was the text that was on the image. I just thought it was quite cool. So these were just in pencil and a little bit of ink. It could have been watercolour, but I think that was ink. Also, this is what I mean about it being a scrap book. It's very much got scraps of paper in here, so there are bits that are kind of like this. Also, lots of different paper types. This is cartridge paper, this is another type of cartridge paper, and this is watercolour paper, so all the paper in here is very much different. I thought making a scrap sketchbook would help me to not be so perfectionist about my sketchbooks, because I quite often tend to start a sketchbook and then I feel like everything I draw on it has to look perfect. But making a sketchbook like this I think helps because it's already kind of not perfect. It's already random bits of paper and the pages aren't perfect and it's like ripped and so on. So yeah, I think that definitely helped. I still feel like this sketchbook is very much perfectionist though. I do feel like I still kind of had that mindset, which is something I kind of want to lose in that sketchbook. But this was for a little drawing club thing last year. I think it was for my uni's, like they do a illustration arts kind of week every year, and this was one of the things. It was like drawing from Google Earth. So this was the International Space Station, and we did little ones that were like credit card kind of size, and then a big one. I don't even know if you can tell what these are. They're very messy, but this is like a spaceman, or a spacesuit, I think it was actually. This was like 10 minutes, this was 6 minutes, and they were all continuous lines, so that was quite fun. This was continuing from that workshop. Sorry, I had to think about what I was saying then. This was, I don't know, some country where there was lots of animals and stuff, so I just did those in red pencil to kind of switch it up a little bit, and then I've just put the time next to each one, that like how long it took me to do it. Also, I realised I just missed a page. This was using pastel and pencil. It was like part of the same workshop thing that we did, but it was a different place. It was called the Blue City of Chef. I'm not even going to say that. I cannot read that word, but that is the place we were doing it in. These were 12 minutes. This was 10. These were 2 minutes. But yeah, obviously they're not the most amazing pieces of work ever, but it was a fun exercise to be able to do, and I actually quite enjoyed doing that. This looks kind of depressing. This was just me when I was sitting at my desk supposed to be doing work, and I was really bored, so I took a picture of myself and drew it. It's not very good, it's really out of proportion. The eye looks really weird, and yeah, it's just not great, but I did it anyway, so practice. But yeah, that was just a mini version. I put 5 days in counting. I don't remember what that was for. Maybe it was like before I went home. I can't remember, but yeah, that was that. Some little quotes that I did. Be private, vibe alone, grow in peace. I actually hate the word vibe, but I just liked the quote, so yeah. And then just playing around with like negative space and like texture and stuff. I thought that was quite fun. And I think the back I used gouache to get the colour, and then on top this was coloured pencil, this was Caran d'Ache crayons, but this was quite fun to do. I don't really like draw quotes that much, so this was quite fun. Okay, moving on. I kind of refer to this as the curse page in this sketchbook because it's awful. I tried to draw a bear, it didn't work. I don't even know if you can see that really light sketch, but I started doing the eyes and I was like, it's just not going to work. So I kind of just left that. This was a little, like, just painting for some flowers that I did for a Mother's Day card. Moving on to an awful painting of, I can't remember his name. I don't know if anyone's watched Masters of the Air, but this is a character from Masters of the Air, and I tried to do it in gouache. Painting in gouache is so difficult. I could not get the skin tone right. I tried to do like an undertone. I don't know if you can see like the blue and stuff poking through, but I just could not get it right. So yeah, but also I don't think what helped is I painted this when it was dark in my room, so all the colours were off and it just didn't work. But again, the practice is there, so that's all I'm kind of fussed about. So in this sketchbook as well is like a collection of like pieces of paper that I've painted on and then not used anything for, so they're also in this sketchbook. This was a lino print for part of a project that I did that was on stamps, I think it was, for Costa Rica. And then obviously I got into painting birds, so this is a parrot. This was done with fine liner and watercolour, which is how I always used to work. I don't tend to use fine liner so much anymore. I quite like using coloured pencil, but that was quite fun. I think birds are quite fun to draw. And yeah, especially parrots. I love the shape of their beaks. It's just very satisfying. This was some sketches of more parrots. This paper, I don't know what paper this is, but it was so nice to draw on. It was really soft and I got these really like smooth lines with that drawing, so yeah, that was pretty fun. This parrot I didn't finish because the proportions were off, the eye was too far back and I was like, I'll just leave it. But yeah, it was still fun. I enjoyed doing those. And then I started drawing some other birds. This one I think I drew on the ferry on the way home. It was really awkward because these girls came and sat next to us and then she started like drawing some stuff. And I really hate drawing in front of other people, so that was a bit awkward, but luckily they got up and left after a while, so I was like, yeah. But yeah, just some like pencil sketches. This was a drawing of a heron. Yeah, I actually quite like this one. I like how there's 2 different coloured papers on the page, so like blue paper, cartridge paper. But yeah, that was quite fun. I really love herons. I just think they're so satisfying, like the shape of their head and how it like curves round, and then you get all these like bristly feathers that come off the front of their chest and this little bit that comes off the back of their head. I just think they're really fun to draw, so I really enjoyed doing that. This was from an Instagram page. I can't remember the name of the Instagram account, but I will add it to the screen once I've edited this video. But they basically just had loads of like photographs of like from history kind of thing. So there was lots of culture and old photographs, and yeah, I don't really know how to explain it. It kind of reminded me of a National Geographic Instagram, but they just had loads of interesting photographs on there, and this was a mask. I can't actually remember Yoruba mask. I wrote down the description of the Instagram so I could like remember it. This was just me figuring out how I wanted to do the background before I actually did it, and I just did these in oil pastels. I actually really like this, and how messy it came out looking, I think it's quite cool. And then I added like the blue border just to make it stand out a bit more, but that was quite fun. I feel like this one was quite experimental. I don't usually use oil pastels. I would actually go as far to say I hate oil pastels. Definitely not my favourite medium, but this was still really fun and I really enjoyed that. And then I stuck some tracing paper because it kept transferring, as you can see. You can't read some of the text, but this was a drawing from that same Instagram, a boy and a cow. I did this using markers and then I went over the top in pencil, which was really fun. I really love getting texture with pencil, and I feel like when I do projects at uni, it doesn't always come across in the final piece because I quite often think, oh, it has to look perfect, it has to look like this, it has to look like that. But yeah, when I do the experiments and stuff, I always get really nice textures, and this is what this reminded me of. But yeah, I just love the texture you get from pencil, so that was very fun. I really enjoyed this one. Moving on, this is where my sketchbook gets very bitty with all these little bits of paper, but this was a drawing I did from a photograph that I took of a tree that's on campus. This is such a nice tree. I don't know what kind of tree it is. I think it's the ones that like shed their bark. I don't know what kind of tree that is. I want to say, I don't know. I actually have no idea. I'm not even going to say because I'll probably get it wrong. But it was like orange underneath where the bark is shed, and it's all like twisty and really nice. So I took a photo of that and then drew it. This was using gouache and Caran d'Ache crayons. I did a like wash of orange gouache and then the crayons over the top, which was really fun. I actually really enjoyed doing this, and it was really nice to see how like it all layered up. But yeah, I actually really loved doing that. And then I actually ended up doing a second one with a purple gouache background this time. This is a photo from back home on a walk that we went on to get to this beach. But yeah, I just really enjoyed how they looked messy, but also how you had the colour from underneath poking through. I thought that was quite nice. This is a little illustration of our dog Nemo, or my sister's dog Nemo. He doesn't like the cats, and every time they go near him he kind of pulls this really like scared facial expression and put his ears back, and I thought that was kind of cute, so I took a picture of him and drew it on some pink gouache paint, and then I went over the top. It's like a brush pen fine liner kind of thing. So yeah, again, I don't really like it looking back, but it still captured the moment, I suppose. A tree from outside my window, kind of like this one, but it doesn't look as good. I think this one was actually from life instead of from a photograph. That's another thing when I start a new sketchbook I want to start doing, is drawing more from life, because this sketchbook I feel like is filled with drawing from photographs and drawing from Pinterest references, so it never really feels like original or like me to its fullest extent, because I'm drawing from other people's photographs, and I mean some of them are my own, like these ones were all my own and this one was from life, but most of them in here are from Pinterest references, which I really hate to admit. I was thinking about making a video on Pinterest and how I feel like it's used quite a lot, and I think I just need to develop skills more in drawing from life and drawing from my own photographs, because then it feels more original. But anyway, moving on, I don't want to get into that now, but this is a drawing of a tiger drinking water, just a quick sketch on some like thin paper. This is another tiger. This one is dreadful. Look at that face, it's so out of proportion, but again, the practice, I got the practice in, so that's all I'm kind of fussed about. But yeah, the proportions aren't great. He looks a bit funny. It looks like a stuffed tiger, like a taxidermy tiger. That's what it looks like. It's just not very well drawn, but oh well, that doesn't matter. And then there's this one of a tiger sitting on some like old ruins or something. Again, these are all pictures from Pinterest, so yeah. But anyway, moving on, I did a drawing of a tiger's eye. I painted the background in a really dark blue, and then I went over the top in Caran d'Ache crayons to kind of try and make a lifelike looking eye. I don't know if it does look lifelike or not, but that was still fun to do. I don't really tend to do those kind of things. I feel like this is the kind of thing I would have drawn when I first started out drawing, when you had all the people drawing realistic eyes and realistic lips with like lines in their mouth. I don't know if people remember that, but this is what it kind of reminds me of, but that was still really fun to do. A tiger on some tracing paper. This was just in fine liner, and then on the back I just kind of added a bit of ink and some gold acrylic paint to get this like cool effect, just playing around with like how that would look. But yeah, I went for a bit of a tiger phase. I think that's fair to say. Moving on, so this was experimenting with shadow and then erasing the highlights. So what I did is I got a really dark pencil. I don't remember what it was. It was probably like an 8B maybe pencil, and I just coloured over the whole page, and then I erased the highlights. I don't really like this one. It kind of looks like Austin Butler when he played that guy in June 2. Can't remember his name. This one I do like because the light is coming up from the bottom and it's creating this really nice shadow across the face. But yeah, it was still fun to do. It's not something I've done before, so I think it was quite nice to explore doing that. Yeah, again, these are both from Pinterest images, so I feel like I could have taken my own reference photos, but oh well, there's always next time. Also, doing this, I feel really awkward. I feel like I'm doing a critique at uni, which I really hate, because when I do that I feel like my voice is really monotone and I'm like, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I used, and I feel like I sound really boring to listen to, so hopefully I don't and it's actually interesting for people to watch. But this was a little study from a painting that I saw called Tiger Attack by Bob Kuhn. I don't know how you say that, but I did it in acrylic. Acrylic is not my medium at all. I find it really hard to use, really hard to blend, and it also dries way too quick. But it was still really fun. I think I liked the teal colour in the background and like against the orange, which is why I wanted to do it. This is just a snippet, like the actual painting is massive, but yeah, that was just a little snippet, kind of a study of that. I don't even know what this was. Random shapes. I was going to try draw stuff from the shapes and I literally did that and I was like, it's going to look rubbish, so I'm going to stop doing that. I drew some cowboys on horses, just some little studies. These were really quick. I did them with a dip pen and some blue ink, but it was nice to do these quick studies because I feel like it captures the movement a lot more than doing like a really detailed study. Yeah, I think I was starting to get into horses a bit here actually. The Wild West, and then this must have been trying to draw one from memory, I can't really remember, but horses are so difficult to draw. I don't know if anyone's ever tried to draw a horse before, but they're really, really hard to draw. A study from a painting. I found this painting on Pinterest. It was a vintage painting. It looked like it was from some sort of storybook. But I couldn't find what the painting was called. I literally followed the link and everything and tried to find it online, but I couldn't find the name. So this isn't my drawing. This is a study from another painting. But I really liked how in the painting they just used loads of quick pencil marks to create like the horse. And I think it gave it a lot of character, which was nice. So yeah, that was fun. And then kind of branching off from this kind of style, I created my own and did a warthog, and I can't remember what this animal was called, but yeah, I really liked it. It was basically just using as little lines as possible to create the animals, and again, I think it gives them lots of character. And I really love like drawing with outlines and like adding bold outlines. That's something I think I'm kind of getting into at the moment. This is a little illustration for a song Steven Sanchez did called, I cannot remember the name of the song, but if anyone listens to Steven Sanchez, yeah, I love his music so much. He is definitely one of my favourite artists, and I thought it would be fun to just, I don't know, do this little scene with the lyrics from one of his newer songs. This was ink, and I used a crayon, an oil pastel I think actually, or it could have been a Caran d'Ache crayon, I can't remember. I think it was a Caran d'Ache crayon actually, but I wrote the text and then went over the top with ink to do this. That was quite fun. I think it looked quite cool. I can't remember what they're called, but that was just a little illustration of that face. Drawing a knight, didn't actually finish it because I didn't really like it, but yeah, I've not drawn a knight before, so that was quite fun to do. Also, drawing faces from the side is really hard. I find that really, really difficult. This page is kind of non-existent, there's not really much on here. This was a drawing of an ocelot from a project I did last year, but I was like tracing my traced drawing, and when I did that I like did it in my sketchbook, so it would create this little ghostly shadow or like outline of what I drew. Another horse, but I didn't really like it because the proportions were wrong. I feel like the face was too short and it just looked a bit strange, so I kind of gave up on that. But again, still getting the practice in, so I guess at the end of the day that's all that matters. Sorry if the lighting keeps changing as well, by the way. It's cloudy and sunny and it keeps changing all over the place. I don't think you can really see this one, but this was just some like inky paper that I put in here, and I could kind of see the outline of a horse, so I kind of just worked into that a little bit with white pencil. Not that you can really see it, but that was quite fun to do. And then this looks like bad and kind of okay at the same time. I think it's the cheek and the lips that I think look strange, because when I move that out of the way it looks okay. But this is my sister. She was already actually lying in bed, but I made her stay there for about 45 minutes to an hour so I could draw her. That was fun. I really want to get back into drawing from life and just sitting down to draw something, because I just don't really do that anymore. Like when I did my A-levels, they would give us homework where we would have to draw an object for a couple of hours, and I used to love doing that because it was like so much fun and so therapeutic as well. I always forget how therapeutic it is to just sit down and draw for a couple of hours, just drawing the same thing, because the time goes so quick, and I never do it because I'm always like, oh, I either don't have the time or I think it's going to be boring. But when I actually get stuck into it, it's so much fun and I really enjoy doing that. So I definitely want to do more drawing from life and just spending time doing studies. I brought a collection of old National Geographic magazines, and there was an article in there about Jane Goodall and chimpanzees, and then I went for a bit of a chimpanzee phase. I didn't actually like this to begin with. I did it all in pen first, like fine liner, and then I added watercolour over the top, and I remember at the time thinking, I've really ruined it, and I got really angry with myself, and I closed my sketchbook and I was like, I don't even want to look at that because it's so ugly and I've ruined it by adding in colour. And looking back at it now, it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. Yeah, I don't know, I actually quite kind of like it looking back. But I think I got annoyed because I brought these fine liners from Cassart and they said they were water resistant, and I used water and it like bled into the colours. I don't really know if you can see, but some of the colours look a bit muddied because of the ink from the pen. I think that's why I got annoyed, but I don't know, I kind of like it. I like the marks from the pen. I think it's quite cool. But yeah, I guess it just goes to show how your opinion can change over time. And then I also then got inspired to do a proper like finished illustration. These National Geographic magazines actually really inspired me, and I just love looking at the old photographs in them, because the ones I got are from the 70s to the 90s, and obviously there's a really nice kind of graininess to those photographs. So I found this picture of Jane Goodall and I drew it in gouache and then coloured pencil over the top. I usually work in watercolour and coloured pencil, but this time I wanted colours that were a bit like stronger and had a bit more depth to them, and they weren't as opaque. So I went with gouache. Doing the skin tone in gouache was a bit scary. I really watered that down so it was like watercolour. The background I did a bit more thicker, and then yeah, I just went over it with coloured pencil, which is my favourite part of the process, because before you add coloured pencil I always think it never looks nice, and then you add coloured pencil and it just adds a lot of depth, and I can get in lots of detail like the eyebrows and the eyelashes, and just darkening up some areas, adding more contrast. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favourite illustrations from this sketchbook, and I'm very proud of that. So yeah, wow, so nice. Oh my god, I'm not going to show that. That is, actually maybe I should. That is really embarrassing. It is so awful. I tried to do a self-portrait. I was going to do it in the same kind of way I did this, and it looks really scary. Maybe it would have been easier if I wasn't like cheesy smiling, because drawing teeth is really hard. How do you even draw teeth? And like people with their mouths open, so difficult to draw. That is really something I need to work on. But I'm so sorry. That was a bit of a jump scare. It's really scary, actually. I was going to stick something over it for this video and I forgot. But I guess it goes to show that not everything you draw in your sketchbook is going to be like perfect, so don't always think that. And I don't know if some people are going to be looking at my sketchbook thinking like, oh my god, everything she's drawn is perfect, but like I go through this and there's probably 2 or 3 things in here that I genuinely like, and everything else I'm like, it's awful, it's horrible. So yeah, your sketchbook should be a place to like play around, have fun, don't stress too much about what it's going to look like. But yeah, moving on to this. This was just coloured pencil, a heron. I wanted to have a go at doing a drawing that didn't involve having a bold outline or like pen, so I just did some coloured pencil. That was actually really fun, building up the different layers. And then we've got some swatches here. This was here when I bound it in. This is why I quite like having it as scrap sketchbook, because there's lots of little bits in it like this that I haven't done now, but like were there when I bound the sketchbook together. I hope that made sense. A horse, because I'm doing horse related stuff for my current uni project and I thought that was quite fun. It is a bit out of proportion. The head looks really small in comparison to the body, and this leg is a bit small. Don't know, just looks, something about it looks a bit off. I think it's this kind of area, I don't really know, but I still had fun doing that. That was a lot of fun. These were little printouts of this drawing, but I just wanted to, I don't know, print them out and stick some more in, I suppose. And then this is a little horse looking up at the sky. The background was acrylic ink. It was blue, red and a little bit of white to kind of brighten up the top bit. Again, it's nothing amazing, it was just me kind of playing around a little bit. Some marker swatches and some watercolour swatches. These ones were already here when I bound the book together, but these ones were added in afterwards. And then I drew a dog. It was actually just this bit from an image on Pinterest. It's a little bit out of proportion. I say that about literally everything in this sketchbook. But it looked a bit weird, just like this front bit. So I tried to like add the back of the dog as if it was like sitting kind of to the side. I don't know if that looks a bit weird, but oh well. And then I did like just the drawing of the dog. And then my sister is like a little bit obsessed at the moment with black shark. I don't really know what black shark is to like explain it that well, but I think it's kind of a black demony dog in folklore. I don't know what kind of folklore, if it's Cornish or if it's just UK wide, I don't really know. But yeah, it's got like red eyes and it's a black dog. So I kind of just added black ink around and wrote black shark. I haven't shown my sister this yet, so I should probably send her a picture because I feel like she'd quite like that. But the background was acrylic ink and I really like it. It's like very matte. Yeah, it's just very bold. So maybe that's something I'll explore more using the acrylic ink. Another horse that I drew and some new pencils that I got today. I just added those in. This is my favourite pencil. It's an indigo pencil. Faber-Castell Polychromos, I think you say, but that is literally my absolute favourite pencil ever, and I quite often try to use that instead of black because it's quite a dark colour. And yeah, that's the end of my sketchbook. The back page, I don't know if you recognised, it's the same as the front, so like these two pages were like together. It was the front page of a paper pad, but I just thought that looked quite cool to have in my sketchbook. So yeah, but that is everything. As you can see, it's not the most perfectly bound sketchbook ever. It's very rough, but that is why I love it. So if you've got loads of scrap paper lying around, I would definitely recommend stitching it together to make a sketchbook. It doesn't have to be perfectly bound, but adding in all these like scraps of paper is so much fun, and then it's so much fun to draw on because then you feel less pressured to make it look perfect because the sketchbook is already not perfect. But yeah, you can add little bits of paper, you can add big bits of paper. I've added tracing paper on some bits, ripped pieces of paper. It's just really fun, and I think it takes away some of the pressure of a sketchbook and trying to make it look perfect. But yeah, so that's everything that I had to show you guys in this sketchbook. I am very much looking forward to starting a new one. But yeah, that's all I had to talk about in this video. I'm going to end it now because I feel like it's been quite long, but I hope you enjoyed looking at some of my artwork. And yeah, I will see you guys next Sunday.